Good morning. It's been a while. Hope everybody's doing all right. I wanted to check in with you because, I don't know. Does anybody know of something that everybody's talking about in the weather world online right now? Because I don't have a clue. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about this winter weather impact. One thing before I dive into this, I've had a lot of people asking me questions over the last day or two what I think, what I think, what I think. Well, there's a reason you're not hearing anything from me until now because I like to wait and see when these storms and when the players on the field get inside the United States observation network. Well, now they're just starting to do that. Until that happens, this is speculation. Until we really get a sample of what the atmosphere is doing and what these little players that have been out in the Pacific and up in the Arctic, what those are doing, once they get to us, then we can start to have an idea of where we're headed. So let's talk about winter weather impact. This is the probability of moderate impacts through Monday. Moderate impacts are disruptions to daily life. That's when we're talking about roads being closed, power outages, things like that. You notice the probability of winter weather impacts of the moderate category are highest 60% and higher across the upstate and the Midlands and in parts of the PD. Generally take I-20 and north. That's where we see the greatest risk of this. South of I-20, notice how that probability comes down to as low as even 5 to 20% across parts of the low country. Now, that's not saying there won't be some minor accumulations, because there may very well be, but right now the main threat, the main focus, and the highest confidence level is up across the upstate and the Midlands. So let's look at the surface map. Based off of what I've been seeing here over the past day or two, I think the European computer model has the best handle of what's going on across the continental United States right now. And that's why I'm kind of leaning in that direction. I also have noticed some trends over the last 24 hours in it as well. And usually when it starts to trend in a direction, not all the time, but usually that's kind of where you end up going. So the surface map, I want to start with Friday evening because I've been seeing some outlandish stuff too on social media that the winter storm was going to begin in the upstate Friday. It's not going to. You see, this is just some light rain. This is overrunning rain that's going to be moving in Friday. This is not going to be the winter storm. Saturday evening, though, by then we'll probably start to see some light wintry precipitation across the upstate, northeast Georgia into the mountains of North Carolina. Notice the color of this, though? It's pink. That means the predominant precip type is likely going to be freezing rain. Unfortunately, snow lovers, this is not your storm, in my opinion. I think snow is going to be way to our north, even in the upstate. You may get a little bit of snow, but it's not going to stick around long based off of what I see right now. Now, I'm going to show you something here in a second that is very important, and those things are going to be ironed out today and into tomorrow. But let's kind of go through the timeline of this. Saturday overnight, the ice storm is really cranking across the central and western parts of North Carolina, even in the Midlands and into the upstate of South Carolina. As we head to Sunday morning, ice storm keeps going. I do want to point out, notice even in the mountains, we're still seeing that freezing rain and even some rain on the higher peaks, because the higher peaks of the mountains are actually going to be above the cold air if this particular solution is correct. So the mountains, you may have a cold rain across parts of the high elevations of western North Carolina with freezing rain and an ice storm just down the peak going into the valleys. It's one of those situations. I've seen it 100 times over my lifetime when you're talking about ice storms there. You're also looking at this Sunday afternoon. The ice storm is still cranking across the upstate and parts of the Midlands. The European is trying to bring in some even warmer air and turn this all over to a cold rain for much of the state. Now, I think that might be a little overdone, but what it does tell you is that something is different about the air mass than what it was showing just a couple of days ago. And the difference in that is its depth. This is not going to be a very deep cold air mass for us in the Carolinas. It's going to be shallow. That means warm air is going to be moving up and over the top of it, so that will melt any snow, and as it falls through that sub-freezing layer, it'll turn into ice, okay? And I'm not even talking about sleet pellets. I'm talking about a liquid raindrop that is super cooled and freezes on contact, because the surface temperatures are going to be at or below freezing for a good part of the state. Let's talk about potential amounts. The pink, that's the ice. Unfortunately, this one over here would be snow, the one that doesn't have a lot on it. I know I'm a snow lover too, and I hate busting everybody's bubble here, but this is going to be most likely an ice event based off of what I see right now. And there's support from that by the national blend of models. Still shows some snow across parts of North Carolina. But the other thing with this particular product is it takes into account as sleet as snowfall too. So some of this, or a good amount of this, would be sleet, which will really cut down the snow totals. It is showing some freezing rain all the way to the coast, and it's been persistent. But I do want to show you the European trend in the last 24 hours. About 36 hours ago, big time ice storm as far south all the way to the coast of South Carolina. But in the last 12 to 24 hours, that has been trending away. You're seeing even on the latest run, the one that just came out, notice not much ice accumulation across the southern tip of South Carolina into South Georgia compared to just 24 to 36 hours ago where that freezing line was dipping all the way down into South Georgia. That is a big difference. And the track of the storm system and its placement will make all of the difference here. So that's why trends today and tomorrow are crucial. Let's say this little warming trend that we've seen develop since yesterday holds through the day, and it just keeps getting warmer as we move through the day today and into tonight as we're looking ahead to the weekend. If that's the case, the chances for freezing rain here in the low country go down. They're probably going to stay up across the upstate and a good part of the Midlands. Let's say this pendulum swings the other direction. We start seeing a cold trend develop today and into tonight. Then you can start to say, okay, we've got to really start making preps. So today is still not an action day, as you'd still have Thursday, Friday, and frankly, for most of the state, Saturday to prepare for this. If the trends are colder today and into tomorrow, then it's probably a good idea to say, all right, we need to get ready for a big time winter weather event. If the trends start to warm up in the low country, you're going to start to say, okay, the impacts will probably be there in some form or fashion in some neighborhoods, but it won't be this widespread big time problem like it will be in the upstate and into the Midlands and then into the Piedmont of North Carolina. So the greatest impacts based off of what I see right now are likely north of I-20 in the Palmetto State. We're still going to be watching for minor, perhaps even moderate low country impacts, but the confidence level of that right now is just not high enough. That may change later today. And either way you look at it, it's going to be cold to follow this early next week. So if something does happen, let's say we do get some freezing rain or we get some snow or sleet or a mixture of all three across the Palmetto State, the areas that see it, it's probably going to stick around for a little while. And that's why particularly in those higher confidence areas, north of I-20, Midlands, upstate, parts of the PD, I'd at least today start thinking, all right, am I ready to be without power for a little while? Am I ready to be stuck in my house for a little while? Start kind of thinking about that. And then let's say if the trends continue where they are today and our confidence continues to grow, and then by tomorrow we're going, all right, this is what it looks like, and even Friday this is going to be a slam dunk, you've still got some time to make some preparations. So we'll keep you updated. It's not time to panic on this yet. We've still got a lot of time to sort through these details today and even tomorrow, but I will say my final verdict here, north of I-20, that's the upstate, the Midlands, parts of the PD, you have the greatest chance of this. And I think it's going to be ice, not snow. And ice is just awful, as we know. It's just awful. South of I-20, still some risk. And it's still a fairly decent risk compared to what we normally see. Because remember, we don't see it often. But it's not going to be on the level based off of what we see right now that you will get farther to the north as you head into the Midlands and in the upstate. We got plenty of time to watch it, though. I'll keep you updated if anything changes. Just wanted to check in, say hi, let you know still watching things. And if anything changes today, we're sure to let you know.